Hey there, everyone. It's Denise Salcedo. Welcome back to the channel. I've just been bringing out tons of interviews, and I'm so excited because today I have none other than the current Impact Digital Media Champion, Joe Hendry. What's up, Joe?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was so excited to talk to you because I've been, seeing your stuff for a bit now. So when I finally got this opportunity, I'm like, hell yeah, like let's do this, let's go for it. So I'll start off by asking you, I know you've been doing the media tours and whatnot, especially now as digital media champion, you got some extra responsibilities. How have you been liking it?
I've been absolutely loving it. I have to say, amazing intro, and your energy is infectious. I'm ready here. I'm ready to go. No, thank you so much for the kind words. And yes, it's everything that I've been asking for and more from my professional wrestling career. It's been awesome. One of my favorite moments was just my dad is very supportive, as are all my family, but my dad is takes a keen interest in pro wrestling just because I'm doing it, and I was able to just come home and go, oh, check this out, and it was the belt. It's one of these things. I wanted it to be this really organic moment, but he's like, oh son, I've got a lot on today, can we meet another day? And I'm like, look, I've got good news, just we got to be up, all right. And so he kind of figured it out before I got there and ruined it all. But anyway, it was
Oh,
pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Doing that, it's great to talk to people like yourself. I see you're doing very well just now as well. So congrats on that. And yeah, it's I feel like I'm doing dream job, dream company. Not many people can say that, so I'm feeling very fortunate. Not taking the responsibility for granted, and I just need to, work hard every day. And yeah, just it's one of these things when you enter like a new level of whatever it is that you're pursuing. It's amazing because it's a big opportunity, but you also realize, this is like world class level now. So this it requires world class preparation and commitment. So I'm very excited for what's next.
I was gonna say I can tell because and you mentioned it kind of going into that next level and seeing like what you're doing next as your career continues to progress on every year. And it is very cool because especially kind of like this time period, since we're ending one year and we're going into the next year, it kind of feels like new year, new you type of thing. And you're going into the year, as champion. And you mentioned kind of bringing the title home and showing it to your dad who's a fan and obviously all of that. How did that feel for you? Like, what was the conversation where you're like, "Hey, dad, like here we go. Like I'm champ. Like check out this belt."
He went already, and that's so you're the champ. You're the champ. Like, I had to like double check it a few times. So yeah, no, that was awesome. It was a very cool thing to be able to do. Actually, I'll be honest, it takes a while for it to sink in because when you're in my position, it's like, I've been doing this in I actually talking to New Year's. I started my journey in pro wrestling on January 1st, 2013. That's when I started training. It was a New Year's resolution. I was like, as of tomorrow, you are a pro wrestler. I wasn't very happy with the way that life was going, and I was like, okay, as of tomorrow, you're a pro wrestler, and that's it. You're going to eat, sleep, and breathe this, and that's what I did. Started at the relatively late age of I was 24, just about to turn 25, but I've had, there were just times where, if you look at, for example, there's a video I did, a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, which is called Johemian Rhapsody. And it's when I'm in the Hydro in Scotland for ICW. And there's 6,000 people just waving their arms. And you're thinking, God, how can I do this? But, there are times where you just feel that you can't get that dream to the next level. And so you're in this battle and this struggle to prove yourself. And then when a company goes, forgive the pun, we believe in Joe Hendry, it's like, it's quite shocking. It's like, oh, I'm not used to being booked this way. This is fun, but scary and cool.
Maybe the
so
song manifested it.
yeah, I think it did. I think it did. I think so Rosemary, pretty much every time I'm at tapings, calls me a witch because she says and the Pied Piper and various things like that. And I think she might be right. The song has, that's been a huge part of it, but it's been amazing to have, a company and specifically Impact. Like I say, it's where it's I believe we've got the best product in professional wrestling. I thought that before I got there, and I think that now I'm there as well. Even more so that I'm here now. But like, no, it's very it's a huge honor. There's a lot of history in this company as well. Like, just you're in the locker room with just some of the best talents this business has ever seen, and to be a champion in that environment, it's not something that I take lightly for sure.
Well, even just mentioning just like even one name within itself, the person that you beat for the title, like Brian Myers, that's somebody who has really, just done a lot for the business of wrestling. So it is really cool to just, see like even the people, not just in front of the camera or on camera, but also behind the camera that are, doing all of this stuff for Impact. But before I dive into Impact, I do want to ask you something because you mentioned it right now. You said that there was a moment where you didn't really like where life was going, and you said your New Year's
Yeah.
resolution was to, become a pro wrestler and finally go and pursue that dream. What was the catalyst? What was your life like at that point that made you say, you know what, this is it? I'm going to actually pursue my dreams here. Like, what happened there?
So I had I'd achieved a few things in my life. I'd got my black belt in judo and I'd finished university. And I was doing music at the time, and the band I was playing in had picked up quite a bit of steam to the point where we were having this meeting in the Sony building on Madison Avenue when it was open there. We're on like the third top floor, so we're pretty high up near the top. And I remember thinking that it was going to happen for music. And it's weird because music was like, it was a secondary dream for me because I actually didn't believe I was big enough to be a wrestler, believe it or not. So I was doing that, and then it didn't happen. And then we got offered some indie deals and stuff like that. And we lost a bit of steam, and it all just kind of withered away. And it got to the point where it really felt like I didn't have a lot to show. I felt like I didn't have anything to show from my 20s to that point. And I just thought, I'm gonna regret this for the rest of my life if I don't go for this right now. But it was easy because I felt like I had, and I'm not saying I didn't have nothing. There's people in this world who really have nothing. So I don't mean like that. I just mean figuratively in terms of achievements. It wasn't like I had this, high paying job that was demanding my time or anything like that. I really, and I wouldn't recommend people do this. This is not me saying you should do this. But, I just got a couple credit cards and was like, right, let's do this, So, and I'm not telling other people don't do that because that was paying that off for a long time after. So, but I did just pretty much train full time from 2013. Things started to happen pretty quick. But yeah, it was from what felt like again, not truly having nothing, but nothing to lose, I would say. It was from that point. But I mean, there's been several moments like that. I felt I had the same feeling when things closed with Ring of Honor. And I mean, it's kind of it's been in past now, so I suppose I could speak about it. When that happened and I was kind of stuck over here and things weren't moving, I was trying to plot my path, you know back to to Impact, because I knew that it was I I knew Impact was the company that were going to have faith in me, because I've mentioned this in a few interviews, but Scott Demore did an interview with a British newspaper where he said, "Who do you think could be a future world champion?" And he gave this interview before Josh Alexander and Moose won the championships, but he mentioned them and he mentioned me as well. And I thought, well, if management have that kind of faith in what I'm doing, that's probably a good place to go. And like I say, I genuinely believe that we have the best professional wrestling product on television. And I feel like the thing is, so many people say to me, like, "Oh, that song that you've got for Impact." I've actually had that song throughout my whole Ring of Honor run, but I think there's a few differences. One is the song is very much tied into the traits of what we're doing with the character in Impact. I think that we've paid a lot of attention to that. So I think that's one of the reasons that people are taking to it more. Visually, I think it's everything's tightened up as well, and I think Impact is the perfect home for me. So I'm very excited to be here for sure.
And it's so wild to me, like, even hearing you say that you didn't think that you could make it as a pro wrestler, because
Yeah,
it's like, what? Like, I think about all the things that you bring, and it's just so unique and it's so creative, to see you do, like, the parodies, the songs, all of that, and just the overwhelming, charisma that you bring to the table, I think is just like, "Holy cow, like, this guy just said he thought he couldn't make it as a wrestler." Like, that's kind of nuts. At what moment in your career did you think, "You know what? This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this was my purpose in life," sort of deal?
I, I mean, I'll be totally honest with you. Um, I don't know if that ever comes. I think that if it has come, it's been recently. Like and I think that's why Impact's the perfect company for me, because I think it's my skill set just matches perfectly with what we're trying to do. And so I understand that, as champion and in this position, the company is putting a lot of faith in me. I've asked, I've received, so they've done their bit. It's now up to me to do my bit and to deliver on a world class level now. So that's a lot of pressure, but it's something that I love. I love the challenge, and I think it's only really clicked now, if I'm being quite honest with you. I just think in Ring of Honor, even like previously when I was in Impact, I think there were opportunities presented to me that if I'd have been ready for them at the time in the way that I'm ready now, things would have taken off before. But I wasn't. The time wasn't right. The last time it was an Impact, I think there was more work to do on my act as a professional wrestler, and I feel the same way about Ring of Honor as well. I think that it wasn't my time, whereas this does feel like, when COVID came along, it took wrestling away from me for such a long period of time, because all my colleagues were still doing tapings in America, but I couldn't get over. So I was doing nothing, at home. And having wrestling taken away from me, it forced me to have an increased gratitude for it, and an increased gratitude for the opportunities as well. So even just doing like, the smallest of indies became like, this huge deal to me. And so every time that my music played, it was like, right, it's go time, no matter where it was. So I think there was an element of, there's been times, and I think, once you've been in this game long enough, people will probably tell you this, is there are times that, you can take things for granted, and sometimes things need to be taken away from you to realize what a privilege it is to do something like this for a living. So there were a lot of tough times, and that caused me to take a step back and be very honest with myself. And I remember seeing a bunch of wrestling action figures and thinking, well, I would be a very boring action figure. And I remember fans were making me in the video games, and I was playing the video game, and I was like, I can't pick myself, I'm too boring. Like, you can't have a fallaway slam as a finisher. So I just decided, I started watching wrestling again as a fan, and I'd never really watched, wrestling in like the mid 90s that much. I was much later than that, but I just saw Psycho Sid and Scott Steiner and, like early Goldberg, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. And I was like, all right, so what would I need to do to make myself an exciting action figure? And I would want to play as myself in the video game. And yeah, I literally just got one of the video games. I made myself. I made new wrestling gear. I dyed my hair bleach blonde because I felt that made me stand out a bit more. And now I think it'd be a pretty cool action figure and character in a video game. So there you go, Impact Wrestling. Let's get the figures on the go. But yeah, I had to be honest with myself and improve my act. And I feel like I've put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it, and now I'm ready.
And I think that's very interesting because so many times, like, you don't know when, like, you have to have so much self-awareness to even attempt something like that because sometimes you think, like, everything
That's
I'm
a big
doing is
ask for
great.
professional
Right.
wrestlers.
It
That's a big
is.
ask. Yeah.
Like, you gotta be self-aware of what you're bringing to the table and how you can improve, and sometimes you don't see it until, like, years later, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I should have done this now," but you were able to do that and really seize it, so I think it's kind of fascinating that you kinda use, the thought process of, like, okay, like, you considered yourself boring as an action figure, so let me remake it myself. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty cool because it's kinda like giving yourself a makeover.
Well, there's a famous phrase, it's you must always put yourself in the eyes of the consumer. So every so often that means standing in the stands where the fans are. That means watching the television product as a fan, not a professional. That means picking up one of the video games. That means, just trying to experience genuinely what the fans experience and be really honest with yourself.
That's really cool. I'm gonna take that noted down and think about that for my own life, and I think everybody here is probably gonna note that down and think about it for their own life too. So let's talk about obviously being champion now, holding gold. We kind of mentioned a little bit briefly earlier about kind of having new responsibilities, and obviously the company looking at you a certain way. Given like the history in Impact Wrestling with all of their bouts that they've had, I feel like you've seen this nice timeline of wrestlers who have held the belt that have done certain things with whatever bout that they held. For you, like, what is your vision? What is like your ideal vision of what you want to present as digital media champion? And also moving forward, like, what's your vision within Impact Wrestling?
So, my immediate again, this is so I've had a real mentality shift in recent years, and that's to shift away from, just this huge long-term thinking, which is all I used to do. I used to think like, well, I must win this title, and I must main event this event, and I must do this and do that and this and that. And what I was doing was sacrificing my ability to do awesome things in the moment, and I was just getting lost in this kind of, this macro vision that you can't achieve without the little steps, and not they're not even little steps, but just with the smaller steps. So I think for like in the immediate, what I'm trying to do is to um add more countries to where the Digital Media Championship has been defended. So I've defended it in 3 countries now. So I've defended it in obviously the United States. I've defended it in Poland last week. And I'm going to be defending it in England tomorrow. So I would like to continue to add to that because actually, if you look at the title's history, it's actually been defended really quite regularly for a new championship in a variety of different places and promotions. So it would be wrong of me not to add my own European flavor to that. So that's something that I want to do. I want to take that belt as far and wide across the world as I can. So that's what I would like to do in the immediate as digital media champion. In terms of Impact Wrestling, I want to fulfill my potential and what management and I see my potential as being, and I see that as being a draw for this company. Like I want to be someone, and I'm not saying that's happened right now or anything. This is a journey, but what I want to do is I want to become someone that draws money for this company. I want to be someone that allows this company to compete with anybody. So that's what I'm bringing to the table. That's what I want to do. That's the big vision.
I love that. I love that. So, Joe, I know we have a couple of minutes left. So, I want to go ahead and jump into our lightning round game. I'm going to ask you 10 random questions. You answer them however you please. So, here we go. Question number one. What is the best place to visit in Scotland?
Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh.
What is that?
So it is, I believe it's an inactive volcanic site in the center of Edinburgh. Edinburgh, I think, is one of those beautiful cities in the world, and it's just this massive clump of rock that's beautiful. And it's in the very center of the city. So if you stand in and at the highest point in Arthur's Seat, you can survey the entire city, and you are the tallest person in the city.
Oh, that is so cool. Question number two. Favorite Scottish dish?
I think you're perhaps underestimating how terrible UK cuisine can be.
Is
Um,
it now?
have you been to the UK?
Well, I have, but I was only there for a
What did you
couple of
eat?
days.
What did you
Um,
eat?
well, when I went to Ireland, I think I had, like, potatoes,
Whoa,
like,
whoa,
some
whoa.
really large, like
Ireland or Northern Ireland?
oh, I went to both actually,
Okay,
to
right.
both,
Okay, I'll
yeah.
let you off then. Northern Ireland's UK. So what did you have in Northern Ireland?
So I had, like, large, fries, and then when I went to London, what did I have in London? God, I don't even remember what I ate in London, but
Exactly. You can't remember because it was terrible, right? Um, so I've got a Scottish dish. Black pudding's pretty good. I think a lot of people would be disgusted to find out what that is. I think it's just like blood in a cake.
oh, ooh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that does not sound good at all.
It is
Okay.
good though. It is good. I mean, hey, you're gonna eat the rest of the animal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Alright, alright. Question number 3. If you were to start a band and can add any group members, who would they be? It could be like any celebrity, wrestlers, family members, past, present, alive, dead, or not, whatever.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna add 2 wrestling musicians. I'm gonna add Chris Jericho. We'll make him the front man. And I'll add Frankie Kazarian as well, because I know he's in a band. So there you
Nice.
go.
You got one more.
Oh, right, add 3 members. Sorry, I was thinking of a 3 piece, right? Okay. What other wrestlers are in bands? Mark Andrews is in a band. There you go. We'll add him as well.
Alrighty. Question number 4. Who are your most listened to artists?
Oh, most listened to artists. Damn, okay, so Weezer are my favorite band. But I'm one of these guys that, just that answer, it's unfortunately true. I like everything. I do. Like I like good songs. I've got country songs, I've got death metal songs, I've got, I listen to a lot of chill out music as well. So yeah, okay, so there's a real kind of niche chill out artist called Nujabes that's really really cool. Unfortunately, isn't with us anymore, but Japanese DJ who does. If you're into chill out music, does some awesome stuff. Oh, there's someone called Mark Rebele who I don't know if you've ever heard of him before,
No.
but he does amazing stuff. He goes on tour and he writes a new song every day that he's on tour. But it's hilarious. It's like his gigs are like parties. So, but he has one song in particular. Um, I wish I could remember that. I think it's his songs are all the names of places, but there's one of his songs that a few of them that are just like they're so good. But Mark Rebele, go check him out. Who else? Who else? You know, I think my favorite song of all time is The Gambler. So there you go.
Oh, okay,
Because I
okay.
think it's a good metaphor for life, you know? I think it's
Yeah.
just, I think it's an awesome song. So it's like, not only is it like a story that's like appropriate to the narrative of what's going on in that world, but it's also like a commentary on life in general. You know what I mean?
Those are usually the best ones.
Yeah. Nowhere to hold them, nowhere to fold them, you know?
Question number 5, which musician do you think is the greatest songwriter?
I mean, that's tough. That really is tough. Who is the greatest songwriter? God damn, that's tough. Because the thing is, it's also it's so subjective. Like, because I mean, I think there are songs that are just beyond what should be within the realms of possibility. Like, I personally think that "Hurt" is in that category. I think that's a five-star song. I just when you hear that song, a lot of people don't know this, but I don't know if you know this, but Johnny Cash didn't write "Hurt." It's written by Trent Reznor from
I
Nine Inch
didn't
Nails.
know that.
Yes. So the original version is actually about addiction, whereas the Johnny Cash version is about coming to terms with the end of your life. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy because people would associate Trent Reznor more with, um creating sounds rather than writing amazing songs, but that is an amazing song. There's so many. I mean, the most sort of prolific songwriters. I mean, you'd have to probably. I think McCartney's better than Lennon. Um, I think you'd probably have to put him in there. I think Fleetwood Mac, they just had a period of time where they were firing on all cylinders. Rumors is just I could talk about that album for hours. There's fun fact about the recording of Rumors is that took them so long to record, edit, and produce that it wasn't digital back then, it was analog. So they'd replayed and retracked certain things so many times that the drums wore away. So the drums that you hear on the track are actually are all re-recordings that were not played at the time. So there you go, a little fun fact for you. I'm going to say ABBA as well. I think ABBA are one of the greatest bands of all time. They're melodically, they're just next level.
I love it. I feel like I'm learning so much from you. Question number 6,
Well,
favorite
I,
song
I
or
like I like
lyric?
to teach. I like to teach.
Favorite song or lyric that you've written?
Okay. Um, I mean, probably I think "Say His Name and He Appears" is that was quite unintentional at the time. That was well, the idea was okay, so every great wrestling song starts with, like Austin had the glass break, The Rock had If You Smell What the Rock is Cooking. I was like, what will I have? And then I was like, I will make my song instructional. So this is probably why I get called the Pied Piper, because say his name and he appears. I actually tell the audience to wave their hands. I tell them to do various different things. So I guess that was quite purposeful. But yeah, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. I was saying like there are certain songs that just go beyond the realms of what should be. Anyway,
Yes. Question number 7, greatest album ever?
come on. I'm gonna have to. I can't think of anything that tops "Rumors" by Fleetwood Mac. Can't think of it right now.
Question number 8, how many instruments do you play?
Play or play well.
I guess play well or either or.
Okay, play well. Um, Guitar, bass, keys. I think would be the ones that I play well.
All right. Question number 9, favorite city in the United States?
Oh, that's tough. That's really tough. I don't know. I don't know. There's a few that gave me a good vibe, good feeling. I liked Atlanta, Georgia. I did like Atlanta. I liked Nashville. Um, I need to see more of it because a lot of the time it's just hotel, it's just airport hotel venue. I need to go and see some more. But I liked what I saw of Nashville. I liked what I saw of Atlanta. Go on, you give me a recommendation.
Los Angeles, it's where I'm from. I
I've
think it's
never
the
been,
greatest city.
never been,
Yeah,
never been.
I don't think anything tops Los Angeles.
Right,
I love it. There's so much
all
out
right.
here to do.
There you
And
go.
obviously with the music scene, I think you'd very much enjoy it with
All
all
right,
the iconic venues.
all right.
And last question,
Sounds
question
good.
number 10. Describe yourself in 3 words or less.
Uh, 3 words or less. Uh, oh, these are really hard. These are really hard. Because now I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna see like you've because it's that you've got so few words. I'm just gonna come across like a total asshole, even though I'm telling the absolute truth. No, I would say hardworking, charismatic.
All right, there you go. 3 words
There
or
you go.
less, you got them. Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe, for playing this game. I honestly had a great time chatting with you. I feel like we can do an entire music podcast on the side. But before we go, please just let the people know where they can find you, where they can watch Impact, etc.
Absolutely. So what we've got is we've got Winter Warfare next Friday and Saturday, December 9th and 10th at the Charles Dodge Center in Pembroke Pines, Fort Lauderdale. Definitely come down there to see what my next activities with the belt are going to be. We've got the Hard to Kill pay-per-view January 13th at Center Stage in Atlanta, which is one of my favorite cities. And again, that's an iconic venue where Flair defended the title many, many times. So Hard to Kill Fallout is the day after on January 14th. So go to impactwrestling.com for tickets. And my socials are just at Joe Hendry on various things. So yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and post all of the links to that in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.